Hi there.
Your last pre-World Cup break training session. What's the injury news for Leicester? Cornet and Emerson available?
Emerson's touch and go because he broke his nose in midweek, and he's had it reset, so I'm not sure how Emerson's going to be. We've got a couple other knocks and niggles as well, which I'm sure all teams have, so we're waiting on a couple of things for tomorrow to find out exactly who's available.
And Cornet, can you say about him?
Connie's not available. Connie won't come back till after the World Cup. Yeah.
5 of your players have obviously been called up by their countries. Rice, Paqueta, Kera, Agurd and Areola. Sum up their mood for us, can you?
I'm thrilled for them. I've congratulated them all. It must be a brilliant thing to be a player going to the World Cup and playing in a World Cup, something which you'll always remember, something you can always say, so we're wishing them well. We're in the middle of the season, it's quite difficult. Normally it's the end of the season, you'd be sending them off and watching it, but I think from a selfish point of view, we're all hoping that they all come back in free from injury and are ready, but I want them all to be successful, I really do.
Obviously the news not so good though for Bowen and Zuma. Have you spoken to them and how they reacted?
I have, yeah. Well, I think Kurt was probably aware that it might be hard to make the squad, the French squad. I think Jared, we had big hopes that Jared might have crept in the team, but I think Jared would be first to admit that his form's got to be up. He's got to play really well and score goals and make assists, which he did last year, which made him an England international. And we got a great thrill out of Jared being an England international. Really did, because we've taken him from the lower leagues, we've brought him through, and Jared's the one who does it, not us. But I think when you're the manager of a new international player, it's a big moment.
Maddison was a big call, a man you're going to be facing on Saturday. What did you make of that selection, and how dangerous has he been for Leicester, do you think?
Well, I think more importantly, Gareth Southgate selected really well. He's a semi-final, a final in the last couple of competitions. You have to say he's picked really well, and Gareth's choices are what matter. It's okay you having an opinion or me having an opinion. Gareth's opinion over the last however long it's been has been really good, and I think he's made a good choice in James Maddison. I think he's playing very well, and as everybody knows, he's a really talented footballer.
We didn't speak to you after Blackburn, but given what happened there, what are your reflections on that game going into Leicester?
I'm extremely disappointed I didn't go through. It shouldn't have gone to penalty kicks. We should have had the game won before then, and it can happen sometimes when it goes to penalties, But give Blackburn some credit. They done a lot of good things. We didn't play quite at our level, but on the night we had done enough to win the game, but we just didn't quite get it over the line.
How big is this game, David?
As big as all the others. You get 3 points for it, but we're fully aware that we want to finish this period in good form. We've had a lot of really good things so far this season. The European campaign especially is one which we would pick out, but we certainly know we need to do better in the Premier League.
It's the last game before the break. Is the break going to be good for West Ham given what's been happening on the pitch?
Well, it depends if you're going to look at European or Premier League. If you look at the European stuff, you'd say the break was a bad thing. If you look at Premier League things, you would say it's a good thing. So we'll prepare, give us a chance to get everybody back again and go again. Look forward to the second half of the season.
What kind of dynamic do you think it's going to throw though on the season?
Meaning what, the World Cup,
yeah.
The break? Well, it's the thing that nobody knows really. It's the bit that nobody's aware of. We've not had it before. Lots of countries have winter breaks and their season picks up, and I don't think there's an awful lot of change in it. I don't know if it's quite the same, because I think a lot of the players, especially in the Premier League, I don't know how many players in the Premier League are actually going to the World Cup, but I'm guessing it will be as probably big as any country there is in Europe, and maybe certainly in any continent, I would think. So from that point of view, how is it going to affect all the players coming back from the World Cup? It's something we don't really know.
And what are your plans here? You've got 5 players are going. What other players are not going?
Give some players some rest. I think we've played more games than any other Premier League team at this time after we play this season. Give the players a bit of rest, come back, get them in good nick. Players have been great here and responded really well to everything we've done, so hopefully we can get them back in good condition.
What would you say about the pressure on you going into this game, David? Do you feel like pressure?
Well, look, I've had pressure all the time. If you're in this job, you've got pressure, so no more than any other game. So we have to try and win like we do in any other game. Whether if you're at the top of the league, you have to win. If you're at the bottom of the league, you have to win as well.
Yeah, Southampton made a change this week. Nathan Jones has gone in there. You've managed 635 Premier League games, I think. What would you say to Nathan about to manage his first?
It's a brilliant league to be in. I think it's an honour to be given a job in a Premier League at any Premier League club, and he should be pleased at his achievement and he's moved up. For me, the biggest thing is that we've got a manager out the Championship getting a job in the Premier League, and I think there'll be many in there who would love that opportunity. I hope Nathan can fly the flag and do well for his club and for himself.
And just on Leicester and Maddison, they are picking up now. They've gone away to Wolves and Everton. Well, they're picking up. I mean, how wary should West Ham be about this fixture?
Well, we've got the same points as them, so must have meant that we had done something somewhere in the league which was okay. So we know we'll get a really difficult game. They are playing well. They've done well. So we all need to be at our best.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
A word on Areola. He's not your number one goalkeeper in the league, yet he's made the French squad. Does that just show how trusted he is by the trust that Deschamps has in him?
Yeah, and I think rightly so. I think he's been so good this season. I mean, the European games, and if you look back at last year, he's been really, really good for us. He really has been. And obviously, with Lucas, I think Lucas is 37 now. 37, and Lucas Fabianski's playing ever so well as well. But obviously we've got somebody ready when that moment comes. We feel that moment comes, and that's why we signed Areola. We like him a lot, and he's certainly really, really difficult to beat in goal at times, and we're pleased with him.
And it's good to say that your future number one goalkeeper will have that World Cup experience. Yeah.
I think he's been with France a lot, and they must see as much as what we see in him as well. But I think he's had a lot of games in Europe last year. We got to the semi-final and he played in all the games. He had one or two incredible saves which he's had at different times, and he has this season. He was a bit slow at the start, but I think since then he's picked up and he's in really good form.
Obviously, you've got the final game against Leicester before the World Cup. With those players who have been selected to travel to Qatar, how do you manage the fact that they might be worried of getting injured before such an important moment in their career?
Well, I didn't know on the night before the Cup game, Wednesday. On Wednesday I'd made my mind up and told the players a few days before that the boys who I knew were going to Qatar wouldn't play, because I felt it was my responsibility to them and my relationship with them that I don't play them in a League Cup game. I found it very difficult to accept that a League Cup game would be squeezed in at this point in the season. Premier League game's different, and I felt that I had a responsibility to those players to try and give them the best chance of being fit for the World Cup. So I chose not to use our boys in that game, but not in the Premier League. Premier League, everybody's there, and we've also tried to save some of them in the Conference League at times this year. Tried not to give them too much. But I think recently, just in the more recent times, I think obviously a lot of them, their heads will be thinking towards the World Cup, and I think as a manager, I'd hope they'd think that the manager here's tried to look after them the best I can.
Are you not worried that during the game, in the back of their mind, they might be thinking, well, maybe I'm not going to go into that contact because I might get absolutely destroyed?
No, I think if you're a player, you would understand that when you're there, you're in the moment, you're playing, you're not thinking exactly about any situation. Well, I don't believe they would do. Maybe somebody might tell me different.
A word on the game against Leicester. Last time you played them in February was 2-2. What do you think has changed since then for you and for Leicester?
Probably a big question. We've changed a lot of players round. We're trying to rebuild in a way and build up again where we can become even stronger than we were over the last couple of years. Adding that layer on, and sometimes you can have a good season and a bad season. Leicester City, Leicester City only was it 5 years ago? Were winning the Premier League, so incredible that it can do. But that's what happens. The Premier League is unforgiving, and we'll get a much stronger Premier League, I think, now than maybe years gone by. I think the teams coming up are competitive. You have to keep improving. If you don't keep adding to your squad or doing it, you can fall behind a little bit. We've added to our squad. Leicester probably would say they haven't added too many players to their squad. So I think there's a big difference between the two clubs at this present time.
Leicester had a tough start to the season. They're starting to do better now. Do you think it's not the best time to play them?
You never know. I think that, as I said, the Premier League at the moment is throwing up so many different anomalies that you wouldn't know, when would be the case. I think that on any time we're seeing some shock results. Could be partially to do with the World Cup. Could be partially to do with no fixtures. Could be, there's lots of reasons which might get involved in it. But at the moment, look, we know we're playing against a good Leicester City team, and we're going to have to play well.
And finally, from me, if you could summarise the season so far in one word.
Lots of good stuff. Lots of stuff which has not been so good. I think I wouldn't be wrong in putting the unlucky tag next to that in some moments, but must do better.